bahuni adhitya chartheshu mudaha kharavadvahanti. I know after lunch you would be so bored to listen about donkey, but that was the condition which we were in our first few years of BMS. Not like even we have more realization now. That those days we were very much mudha. As said in the morning by Rama ma'am, that we are not, we have a treasure of knowledge, right? So we are not aware of it. But the same thing was happening. We were in first years, we were reading the Shastra and by hearting the shlokas, and we were reading among ourselves, fighting with the meanings or having competitive mode. But we were not getting the essence, or we were not reaching the actual meaning. But there was a person every day who we used to go to. Like we had 4:30 to 5:30 study circle. We used to list down all our doubts, and we used to go to Sir, our Meshtru, ask doubts. Sir, what is this? And we didn't understand this, how to learn this and all. First 2 times, Sir used to give us direct answers. But later he just gave us a hit. Like, you're in second year of BMS, you still don't know how to study Shastra. Then we told, what is that, sir? We are reading already. Have you ever read Prabhashanam? Okay. We had gone through the chapter in our first year, but still we were not, we didn't realize the importance. Then sir told, okay, you haven't, you know about Prabhashanam. Have you ever read that? Then that was the time we understood there is a process of learning of Shastra. So we have to start with Shloka Sampradana, and it goes on with several other steps where we decode the meaning of the Shastra, and then we arrive at the essence or the Dhwani. So that was our experience, which became enchanting. Enchanting in the sense we still are exploring the several layers of the meanings which we understood in 2013. From 2013 it is like 12 years. So we'll still try to memorize, or we find the new meanings or practical utility of those shlokas. So myself, Dr. Varshini, and
Namaste. So what we are going to be reading today, as the title suggests, is more of experience, less of Garbha Vyakarana, and about the process of change that happened in the understanding and in the personalities that we are here today. So what was that change? What was that experience about? So that is what she was introducing. So it all began when I had hair. Now I don't. So long back, around 13-14 years ago, this probably will summarize that. Those were that you see a group of students there, all looking at one person who is in the middle with his team, of course, who is at the right. He was our dear Meshtru. So the session is going to deal, the summary of the session would be what that person with his team did to the entire team of volunteers in this building called Ayurveda Academy through this methodology called Prabhashanam. So what is this methodology called Prabhashanam? And why is that it is being discussed here in Sháríra Satram? The idea, probably you will have some idea, Ayurveda Academy conducts this 7-day or 8-day program called residential program for first year or learners of Ayurveda called Prabhashanam. So you will have some idea, I believe, but still to introduce you to the background of the program or background of Prabhashanam. See, it is very unfortunate that Samskrita is no more the spoken tongue. And unfortunately, all our reference texts, they're written in Sanskrit, be it Vitaraka, Sushruta or Vakyata. And the present day situation is that people are dependent on translations or the opinion of those who understand Sanskrit to to understand what is written or what is given to us by our acharyas. Now, does that mean that I am understanding Charaka as he intended it to be? How to be sure that I am understanding whatever Charaka intended to convey? Or is it getting compromised? Or is it the opinion of the translator that I am sticking on to for my understanding of Shastra? Unless and until we understand what is being told by the acharyas, we can never be sure. As rightly quoted by Charaka, see, surety is something that will make you confident enough to practice. Asamarthata bhayakarana. So if you're not sure, you are asamartha. So how to be sure is one constant question, if you ask yourself, may trouble you a lot. How? I don't know Samskrita. It is not taught. Now I am reading the translation. Is it the same thing or is it different? In fact, many words are not translatable at all. Even if you try a lot, even if you write a paragraph about them, the true essence of that word may not come out. So in that case, what to do? Is one question that may, if you go in that line, haunt you a lot. So the answer, I believe, is this book or this methodology called Prabhashanam that was given to us as students there by our Meshtru, dear Meshtru, Dr. C.S Somayaji sir. So what is this methodology? So this methodology is the methodology of decoding all sutras. You know what are sutras? Alpaksharam, Asandigdham, Saravat, Vishwatomukam, sutra lakshanas. How to decode those sutras so that it becomes very easy to understand and we understand the Grantha Kartras Vivaksha, and there are 8 steps in that methodology. The first step being Sampradhanam, then you have Padavibhaga, then you have Arthanvaya, Anmaya, Anmayartha, Bhavanavada, Prayoga Parishilanam, Padakritya and Dhvanitartha. So these are the 8 steps and the background. Now, so the background, inception, how it happened and how we saw it, or how we both see Prabhashanam as. So what it does 3 things to us. 1, it made us question our contemporary understanding. That is, whatever I told. Is it true that it has to be understood like this? That's the first thing. Second, it taught us how to read in between lines, how to go beyond what is being told. That is what we call as dhvani. And third, it made us to search for the madhu, the essence of the all of what is taught, how to bring it into practice. So this is one part. Then the process, that is also a part that we are going to show or share. That is Meshtru's training. So there were few key points that helped us gain those 3 points. So we'll be talking about that also.
So we had Meshtru who used to take classes for all of us. We used to have a Tadvidya Sambhasha. We used to sit all together. But Sir was very particular with the discipline. The discipline with respect to dress code, the discipline with respect to presentation, and the discipline with respect to the behavior codes, conduct, etc. So with respect to dress code, you might be seeing every volunteer would be wearing a female volunteer would be wearing a sari and apron, and boys dressed in casual shirts. So Meshtru was very particular about disciplined presentation. And with respect to the technical sessions, he always ensured that we had the 4 points, that is Uddesha, Nirdesha, Lakshana and Samanvaya. So these 4 points, under this we had to note down our points and make a notes of lesson. Only then we were about to present the topics or come into the discussion.
Then comes the punctuality. He was very particular on that. So probably we'll also have to finish within 30 minutes. That is the time that is given to us. Otherwise, I believe Meshtru would stand there and show us a thread that time is up. If you cannot keep that simple thing, then what big difference will you make in this society, is what he used to always ask. So punctuality was one of the core principles that we learned through Meshtru, discipline of course, and then there is this third thing. So most of the students would know that one thing that he made sure is he wouldn't let somebody's hope fall. Hopefulness is something that he ensured is passed on to his students. I at least am an example where I didn't believe that I could in any point of time go on a stage, talk or deliver a session or talk freely. It is all because of the hopes that was given to us or that was somehow ignited that you also can do. And he was also an example of that. Most of his teachings were in the way of stories of his life. So that became a guiding light and is also a guiding light today. And the last part is to talk, to discuss, not to make sure that you will have to prove your point, but to learn. So these were the 4 principles that we learned from our perspective. Then here are the technical differences, that few snippets of technical differences that are derived from Garbha Vyakarana Sharira, from the methodology of Prabhashanam, that we thought of sharing. There are only few. If you want to learn more, there is a book called Prabhashanam that you'll get in the outside counter. You can refer to it, that is one thing, or you can apply for the program called as Prabhashanam. So what difference did it make? The first step in Prabhashanam is called as Sampradhanam. What is Sampradhanam? Is the way of familiarizing yourself with the sutras. How do you do it? You do it by reciting the sutras. You become close to the sutra by knowing the sutra or reciting them without any mistakes. So just by reciting the sutra, do you think you can gain something? By just attentively reading the sutra, do you think you can go to the essence of the sutra? The methodology says that you can. Say for example, in Sampradhanam, in Garbha Vyakarana Sharira, 4th chapter of Sháríra, you have a sutra called Hridayam Chetana Sthana Muktam Sushruta Dehina. Hridaya is the Chetana Sthana, is referred to as the Chetana Sthana, is what is being told by Dhanvantari to Sushruta. So there, Sushruta is in Sambodhana Vibhakti. You know Sambodhana Vibhakti, the 8th one, which you write because you have to write, but never attach it to something because it is not a karaka. It doesn't have direct relationship with the Kriya Pada. It somehow takes the Rupa of Pratama Vibhakti. So that is Sambodhana Vibhakti. So Sushruta there is in Sambodhana Vibhakti. Now, why and how do you recite it? Sambodhana Vibhakti, how do you recite it? It becomes Sushruta. It is to grab someone's attention, that is when you use Sambodhana Vibhakti. Now that Vibhakti is used in the context of Hridaya by Dhanvantari while teaching Sushruta about something. So what do you make out of it? When suddenly out of nowhere Sambodhana Vibhakti falls into place, what do you make out of it? So that is the question that was asked. So the answer that you get is, unless and until something important or something very, very, very important that the listener shouldn't miss is being told, he wouldn't have used that vibhakti. So just by reciting the sutra the way it has to be recited, by giving importance to the simple Vyakarana things like the giving attention to the vibhakti, you can understand something more than what is being told. Is one example that. So what is that more that you learn just by identifying some Hridaya there is in Sambodhana Vibhakti. So what if he has told it in Sambodhana Vibhakti? What is the big difference? Now that is where the difference comes. Hridaya is not just ours or Ayurveda's property, no? Hridaya is everybody's property. Other tantras, other shastras also talk about Hridaya. So that is how it is being shared, it is being talked about, it is being discussed everywhere. The Yoga Darshanakaras talk about Hridaya. The other contemporaries that were there or that are there for Ayurveda, all of them talk about Hridaya. Actually speaking, even the Upanishads talk about Hridaya. So Hridaya is a common point which connects Ayurveda to many other shastras. So the content of this prakarana, the content that follows that sutra are going to be very important. We shouldn't miss it. It's something that we understood. So what is that content? Content is the linkage between where the sutra is placed. It is placed in Nidra Sharira. So the topic that is following is Nidra Swapna. So which is again common. So it links Sharira to Triguna. So if you are able to understand the link between Triguna and Sharira, Triguna and Hridaya, you can use that in your practical, in your practice, how to use it. Who is responsible for Nidra? As Ayurveda doctors, we would say Kapha. But when you read the next prakarana, you get to see that Tama Abhibhuta Kapha would be the reason for Nidra. So one of the techniques that you can use to induce Nidra is to increase Kapha for sure, but also make sure that there is Tama. Tama can be correlated to darkness as well. Now, the problem is that when you have to induce Nidra, you would make use of this logic that increased Kapha can cause Nidra. But would it be the right treatment to everyone? Say suppose there is a Nidra Nasha case and he has come to you complaining that the Nidra Nasha is causing problem. Then probably you would go for increasing the Kapha in that person. If there is no problem in that patient but he is concerned that he is getting less sleep, would you be giving the same treatment? Should we be giving the same treatment? So answer for that question would be the next sutra. For avabodha, the guna responsible is sattva. If the physician or if the patient is of the mindset where sattva is pradhana, he is able to be peaceful without dispensing any of his emotions or energy, then for him that is samanya or natural. You need not worry about it. In fact, the whole prakarana talks that Nidra is somehow not a vidhi but a choice. If you are able to have control over your mind and emotions, and if you are able to turn your status of mind towards sattva, then you can take care of yourself even with less sleep. That is how you see in yogis, many yogis, they sleep very less, but yet they are active. Unlike us, we sleep in afternoon sessions also, but we are not. That is also not enough. So that is our case. So how do we attend it? We attend it by becoming sattvika. So by not dispensing a lot of energy. This is one example, just the first step. We are in the first step of Prabhashanam, so there are 7 more to go. What else? So again, the second step is Pada Vibhaga. So what do you do in Pada Vibhaga? You identify padas, packets of information. There are 2 kinds of pada or 4 kinds of pada, that is Subanta and Tiganta. The whole process involves you to identify what is Subanta, what is Tiganta. Now, there are certain cases where you're left with a choice to do Pada Vibhaga or not do Pada Vibhaga. So it's a choice. So by doing Pada Vibhaga, you would be getting some extra or some other information by not doing Padavibhaga, or by choosing not to do Padavibhaga, you would be understanding something else. For example, in the first prakarana of the same chapter, there is this Tvak Utpatti prakarana. How was the Tvak formed in Garbha Vyakarana? So there is this word called as Evam Pravrittasya Khalu. So there Evam can be considered as a avyaya, and you can split Evam and Pravrittasya, or you can choose to keep them together as Evam Pravrittasya by doing Avyayi Bhava Samasa. So what do you gain if you keep them together? What do you gain if you do Padavibhaga there? You would be gaining a lot by not doing Padavibhaga, by choosing not to do Padavibhaga, because the not doing Padavibhaga will link that word to the previous chapter. Evam Pravrittasya. Katham Pravrittasya. Yes, Evam Pravrittasya would translate roughly as something that is being prepared, or which has happened in a very peculiar manner. Which peculiar manner? So it would make you go back a little and search what is that vidhana that he is referring to. So when you go there, that is where you understand that the previous chapter is Garbha Vyakarana. So if Garbha Vyakarana has happened proper, then this process would kick off from there. That is one thing. For Garbha Vyakarana to happen, you will need the previous chapter where Shukra Shamita Shuddhi is being mentioned. So you would take care of that as well. So automatically a choice of doing Padavibhaga would translate in practice. That is one example that we can quote. Now, Anvaya. So we talk a lot about Anvaya. What is Anvaya? Anvaya, to simplify, see, we don't, Sanskrita is no more spoken tongue, so we have our own mother languages, mother tongue. So there is this arrangement of Kartru, Karma, Kriya, which is very simple for us to understand. Now, that is not the fashion, or that is not the way in which the sutras work. There, the Kartru, Karma, Kriya can be placed somewhere else to satisfy the niyamas of the chandas, that in which it is written in. So they are jumbled. They seem jumbled. They're not. They seem jumbled. For our ease of understanding, for us to understand, we simplify them in a particular way called Kartru, Karma, Kriya. You place the Kriya Pada in the end, Karma in between, Kartru in the beginning. This is a simple way of doing Anvaya. So just by choosing the positioning of certain things, a lot of Artha Vishesha can be gained. Say for example, one of the Kala, if you are aware of, is Pitta Dhara, the sixth one. Who is responsible, or which is responsible for the whole process of digestion. So what it does, so there is the sutra, Ashitam, Khaditam, Pitam, Leedham, Koshtagatam Nrinam, Tad Jivyati Yatha Kalam, Shoshitam, Pitta Tejasa. So it does the jarana of Ashita, Khadita, Pita and Leedha. Now, if you're aware of Visheshana, Vishesha, adjectives that can be used, and when you go on doing Anvaya, arranging them, there is this Visheshana, there is this pada called as Yatha Kalam, which seems like a Kriya Visheshana, but which is also seeming like Napumsakalinga Ekavachana or Dvivachana, where other padas like Ashita, Khaditam, Pitam, Leedham, etc. are also in the same Vibhakti Vachana. So you can wisely use Yatha Kalam as Kartru Visheshana, as Karma Visheshana or as Kriya Visheshana. By just placing them in different places, a lot can be understood. For example, when is that your Pitta Dhara Kala digests or make sure that the mala which is going to be formed is proper. It makes sure that the mala is proper. That is one artha that you can understand. When you place Yatha Kalam before Ashitam, Khaditam, Pitam, Leedham. The same Yatha Kalam when you place before Kriya Pada, that is Jivyati, Yatha Kalam Jivyati. So according to the timing of your eating, it will do the jarana. So time somehow becomes the core of the whole process called jarana. Unless you respect time in the jarana kriya, you will be losing on many things. So same can be applied in understanding Parinamashula and Anadravashula as well. So this is one example for Anvaya. Then we have Prayoga Parishilanam. So I believe you are aware of Prayoga. So Prayogas are three, that is Kartari, Karmani and Bhavi. In Kartari Prayoga, who gets all the focus is the hero there, the Kartru. Then in Karmani, Karmapada gets all the focus. In Bhavi, the process in itself gets the focus. So the choice of Prayoga can talk a lot as the essence of the slide. Now if you read a prakarana called Avayavotpatti, there you realize that the Prayoga that the author has chosen is Kartari Prayoga. So where Kartari Prayoga is used, the automatic understanding, the underlying understanding is the Kartra is the focus. So who is the Kartra there? A simple question would make you dwell deep and understand that the whole process is led by Vata. So that is how the whole process of Avayavotpatti is governed by Vata. And how is that important? How does it translate in management or practice? Now when you go and see Garbhini Parisharya, you understand that from the first month till the 9th month, the common thing that is there, one common thing that is there is Sneha. Without Sneha, there is nothing there. So Sneha plays a very important role because the Kartra there is Vata. So any mishaps during pregnancy, the easiest or the best way to attend that probably Sneha is one of the understandings that you can make out of that.
So, Kartari Prayoga, we understood that Kartra is the Kartra is given the emphasis. So, I'll tell one example where Karma is given emphasis. So, we get a beautiful shloka of formation of Apara in this chapter, that is Vartmani Garbhena Avarudhyante. So, Vartmani Garbhena Avarudhyante is the Karmani Prayoga, where Karma, that is Avarodha, is given the emphasis. So, in this shloka gives a lot of other clues for many clinical conditions. Okay, so that is how, let's see in the few further slides. But the shlokas, when we decode the shloka, do Anvaya and we get the meaning, we see there is in Garbhini Artavam na drishyate. Grihita Garbhana Artavam na drishyate. By what reason? Why? Grihita Garbhana Artavavahana Srotasam Vartmani Garbhena Avarudhyante Tasmat Grihita Garbhana Artavam na drishyate. So after this, the Vartma is closed, the chaya of the materials get collected, and after some time the apara is formed, and then further the dravya collection happens. Cha upachiyamanam, that blocked one, which is adaha pratihatatam, that artava which has to flow towards down, which is blocked, it gets sanchaya, it gets collected, and then urdhvam agatam, it keeps collecting, and aparam cha upachiyamanam apara iti abhidhiyate, then it is called apara. That is the apara, which is the limiting layer of the garbha. Okay, this concept is explained after the kala, which tells dhatu ashayantara maryada. Dhatu, that is the maryada between dhatu and ashaya. Same way here, apara is the maryada of the garbhashaya and garbha. Here garbha is dhatu and ashaya is garbhashaya. So the next link what we get is shesham, the left out the ones which is getting collected. Shesham cha urdhva taram agatam payodharau abhiprapadyate. So payodharau is stana, that is in dvivachana. So there are two stanas. So whatever is getting collected, it just reaches to the stana. It reaches to the stana. Tasmat Garbhinyah Pinonnata Payodharaha Bhavanti. So, in Garbhini we see Pina, that is, and Unnata Payodhara, that is, Stana will be Sthula and it will Sthira, that is Urdhvamukhi, Stanya will be seen. So, in most of the conditions we see there will be in amenorrhea, or when there is Artava Darshana is not seen, there will be lot of changes in breasts happening. So there will be tenderness, there will be enlargement of the breast, or there will be blood veins seen on the breast. So if we ponder upon, so here is the link where we can get to know where to correct. So why Artava is Avarodha, Artava Darshana is not happening? Because there is some Avarodha in the Vartma. It could be because of dosha, it could be because of any other growth, or it could be Garbha. But Avarodha happens, and that is why the Artava Darshana is not seen. So, and further, it also gives us the clue that in Sutikacharya it is explained that the Tritiyenhi Chaturtenhi va Strina Stanyam Pravartate. So, after third day or after fourth day itself, the Stanya Utpatti in Sutika is seen. So, why that happens? So, here there is a block which has happened. Unless the Marga is Shuddha, the Stanya Utpatti will not happen properly. So that is why the first 3 days there is a different, there is a specific dravyas which has to be given to the child, baby, the newborn, so that it is maintained. And here the Rakta Vishodhana will be given with the specific dravyas, and then the Stanya Utpatti happens and it will be nurturing the baby. So these 3 questions, why Rutusrava doesn't happen in Garbhini? Why do we see breast tenderness in delayed MC? What are the reasons of the absence of Stanya Pravritti in first 3 days in Sutika? So all these links and the practical points which I could connect with this one sutra. Maybe in other layers we can find out even more if we still ponder upon it.
Yeah. So the essence is like this. See, the easiest way to connect to the Shastras, as we were connected, or we were made to connect by Dr. C.S. Somayaji or Meshtru, is through Samskrita, through the Bhasha. So I believe if you catch hold of Bhasha, a lot more can be learned. And I don't see any other way also to catch hold of that unless you self-realize many things. That is also a possibility. But catching hold of Bhasha through Prabhashanam can guide you to the essence of the Shastra. That is the essence. So what we realized in the process is that we thought that we knew, but we realized we didn't. So that realization, as Socrates mentions, the realization that you don't know will open us and lead you to know something. So that probably can happen to you as well, and you can learn better. So you can take a program called Prabhashanam, that is one thing, and also follow this methodology in your practice or in your learning to know better. So thank you to both, to you and to him.
Thank you, Dr. Sanket and Dr. Varshini. Dr. Sanket and Dr. Varshini, please take your seat. I invite Dr. Ashita and Dr. Pannang to please come over to the stage and say thank you. Dr. Sanket Sharma is a practicing Ayurvedic physician. He is also an academician. He started his practice in 2016 at Sannidhi Ayurveda. He is also working as an assistant professor in Transdisciplinary University, Bangalore, and involved in research and teaching. His work is related to translation of 3 Sanskrit works related to Jwara Chikitsa and involved in many research initiatives. And of course, he is one person who actually we would call the question person of our study circle, because every time he is there, there's a lot of questions. So, and he's also that student of Somayaji sir who started his own little study circle for the juniors when he himself was a student. So thank you, Dr. Sanket. Dr. Varshini is the Managing Director of Vishwa Ayurveda Hospital, Whitefield. She's finished her MD in Kajikitsa. A little girl who actually had the strength and the guts and the grit to actually overcome all the hurdles and start her practice quite early in her life. And we're really very proud of her as a good Ayurveda physician. Thank you so much for being there.